Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review, where I review things very badly. Today I'm looking at Trespasser issue 3. I just finished reading it, and I don't know how people waited bi-monthly to get this book. I bought them all at once, and I recommend you do the same if you're going to pick this up, and I highly recommend reading it. It is a fun read, and it is very intense. So we pick up where we left off last issue. The kid has pretty much figured out what's going on, and she is not happy. The dad obviously is sick. He's got these, blisters all over. She's upset, and she says, you need a doctor, and this is where we find out a little bit more backstory. It says, the nearest thing that looks like civilization is the military checkpoint up in Jefferson, if it's still there. And they don't have anything to trade to get help from a doctor. Obviously, there's been major breakdown in society. They're very far away from wherever these doctors or this military checkpoint is, and he says it's very far away. So they're very isolated, and getting sick in those conditions is very deadly. So they go out hunting instead, and they find a bear that's very sickly looking and is missing an arm. And the dad kills it with a shotgun. Probably the more unbelievable part of this. And they check it with the Geiger counter, and it's not safe to eat, and neither is what it was eating. And the girl looks at the bear and looks at her stuffed animal. She has a stuffed bear that she's been holding, and he says it's not Stumpy. And she's like, I know I'm not stupid. And that's when she kind of explodes on him and says, I know what you did. I know where the meat came from. He trusted you, you lied to him, you lied to me, you made me eat him. And she wants to go home, and he's like, fine, and he yells at her. Of course, their tensions are high, because he's sick, and they're out in this rainstorm trying to find some food, and they're wasting away. He even says, and I'm quoting here, I'm sorry, but he died. There was no sense in letting the cleanest food I've seen in 10 years go to waste. But when they get back to the house, they find the dog waiting for them, and it's got a head wound. There's something embedded in its head with a bloody spot. And the dog's acting a little weird. When the dad tries to reach for whatever that thing is, the dog growls at him. So he sends the girl inside, takes the dog out in the woods, yanks that thing out, and it is this looks like a ballpoint pen, a little bigger, but it's like a needle, and it's got these cords on it that try and wrap around his hand. And he throws it down. The dog dies, probably because that was reanimating the dog, which is pretty freaky. He goes inside to talk to the girl, and she knows the dog's dead, but she's really mad at him and says, that she hopes that she dies to get away from him. And that's when it comes out that she has the blisters too, and she blames him. She goes running outside like any kid probably would to get away from him, and she comes across an alien. The dad's obviously upset, doesn't want the alien near her. He knows he's in trouble at this point. And the girl starts vomiting up blood, and we have a cliffhanger. It's an intense issue. It's so much better than I just described it. I highly recommend checking this book out. This was a wild ride. I really recommend it. This would make a great movie. Very intense. They would probably have to do a little more backstory about what's going on. That's the only thing I kind of feel like is missing, is that there probably should be some more background information on exactly what happened, at least just a little bit. They touch on it briefly, but we don't really know what's going on. But yeah, it's pretty intense. I feel bad for the kid, and I do feel bad for the dad too, because they really didn't have any other food. But at the same time, obviously the guy shouldn't have murdered the alien. Anyway, a fantastic issue, highly recommended. I really hope the payoff's as good as the first 3 issues. So let's find out in the next issue on the next episode. As always, thanks for listening.